Welcome to Bird Seeds. This is Joe Bird. Thank you as always for being here. And again, this is just something I really do for myself. I hope you guys get something out of it. I hope you enjoy it. I hope it's helps you be introspective and think about things in a different way. But as always, I do this for myself. And it really forces me to stay positive and think about the week and think about the positivity of that, the wins. I have a strong tendency to always focus on the negatives and always focus on the failures and go down that road. And this forces me to take a deep breath, take a step back and say, what were the good things? Yeah, there's always going to be failures. There's always going to be mistakes. There's always going to be things that ball didn't bounce the right way. The puck didn't slide the right way. That's always going to be there. And I'm a huge believer that you experience what you focus on. And so as a person that has a negative tendency, I focus on the negatives and therefore I experience the negative. So I really do a lot of things to try to focus on those positives, try to focus on the things that are good, the things I can build off of. You can't ignore the negatives. You got to learn from them. If you just flat out say, oh, they don't exist, then you're never going to get anywhere. You're going to just continue to make the same mistakes. You got to learn from them. Absolutely true. But you really do have to slow down and focus on the positives. Huge believer in that. So thank you for listening. If it gets something from it, I really appreciate it. This kind of came to mind. I was at a home inspection. I had actually 2 home inspections, which means I put 2 houses under contract on the buy side. Very difficult these days. So very proud of myself. Pat myself on the back. Also, let myself celebrate a win. I tend to, when I get the wins, I sort of, for a very short period of time, I'm like, yeah, I did something. And then I go right back to the negatives, right back to the ones I didn't get. So focus on that. But I was at a home inspection, just making small talk. Great past client. This is our 4th deal together. So awesome, great relationship. Just chit-chatting during a home inspection, 4-hour-long home inspection. And we started talking about music. Music led to talking about one of my really good friends who's got a TV show on Discovery Channel, a really successful podcast. And just kind of where the conversation just organically meandered. And then she goes, I didn't know you were a musician. So we started talking about my musical background and the things I've done in that world and how fun it is and how I have the podcast. And my natural inclination was like, yeah, it's a podcast. Is it huge? No. Do I market it, promote it? No, not at all. It's really for me. But I also recognize that is some self-deprecation in there. Maybe I don't promote the podcast because I'm afraid that if I do try to push it out there and it doesn't succeed, then that means I have nothing to fall back on. Right now, nobody listens to the podcast. I didn't do anything to promote it. So how could I feel bad about that? That's nothing that I could, how could I expect it to be successful if I didn't put any effort into promoting and marketing it? So maybe that's my own limiting mindset, my limiting beliefs, and the way that I protect myself to say, well, of course it's not successful. I didn't do anything to push it out there. I don't know. I guess some things blow up on their own, but that's luck as much as anything. So maybe it doesn't really mean anything. Maybe I should try to promote it. Maybe I shouldn't. I don't know. Tell me what you think. If you enjoy it, let me know. Love that positive feedback. But again, I'm going to keep doing it because it really helps me stay positive. So again, I want to kind of go back to that. You experience what you focus on, right? So whatever your mindset is, whether it's you're looking at the positives, you're looking at the negatives, you're looking at the things you're afraid of, you're looking at the things you're excited for, that's going to impart itself onto how you experience life because that's what you focus on. I think that's incredibly important to sort of just digest and understand and really get a hold of and do our best to control that. I missed last week's episode. Apologize. We were up in Philadelphia for my son's ice hockey tournament. We had a lot of fun. They did really well. That's all great. But I will say, I really worked hard at not trying to have preconceived notions, but I kind of failed at it, and they bled over into my whole experience. We had an absolutely awful stay at this hotel when we did this tournament last year. The lead security guard was just awful to the kids. Instead of, if the kids were allowed to, you invited, 50 rooms of 8-year-olds to your hotel. You should expect there to be some noise from 8-year-olds because you just invited 50 of them over. They were upset with, the kids being loud. Okay, come talk to the parents. Don't yell at the kids for being kids. The kids were doing what they should be doing, having fun with their friends. If you don't think that we're doing the right thing, then come talk to us. Don't even yell at us. Just have a conversation with us. But no, this particular security guard decided that he was going to chastise the kids. He actually followed my son into the bathroom last year, which is just not cool. So we had complained and said we don't want to go there. There's lots more to that story. We don't need to get into all the nuts and bolts, but there's a lot more to their experience with that hotel. It's terrible. We let the organization, the tournament know. It's also one of these scammy stay-to-play tournaments. If you're not familiar with youth sports, there's a lot of these tournaments that are stay-to-play, which means in order to get into the tournament, you've already had to pay your entry fee for the tournament. You also have to book your hotel through the tournament at an inflated rate. Normally, when you get a group booking on a hotel, you get a discount. In this case, no, they're adding fees and stuff on top of that, and you have to do it. It's scammy. It's dirty. I don't like it at all, but it is what it is. If we want to play tournaments, till somebody disrupts that, that's what it is. I don't have the energy to disrupt that. Not going to happen. So about 10 days, 2 weeks before the tournament, we find out that we're staying at the same hotel. And a bunch of the parents, including myself, are really irate about this. You know, we start kind of making noise. We're told that hotel, that security guard is no longer employed at this hotel. They were going to increase staff. They were actually going to have people at the restaurant. It took 2 hours to get a cold chicken tender last year. You know, we know anything about 8-year-olds at that point. Now we're in 10U, but 8U at that point. Hungry kids are not the easiest to deal with. So you get upset about kid noise and then you're not providing them food. That's on you. Anyway, we find out supposedly the security guard's fired. Suppose they're going to staff it. Great. I'd rather my son have the experience with his friends than its principle. There was a huge principle for me. I do fight with the idea of principle over like cutting off my nose to spite my face. I will do that all day long on principle. I slowed down in the moment and said, you know what? It's going to be better for my son to be there with his friends instead of us going to another hotel, whatever. We literally pull up into the parking lot of the hotel, and the first thing I see is that security guard. So now, not only do we have to deal with this guy, and I will say, this was a much better experience. It wasn't great, but it was a much better experience than it was before. But now I'm irate because not only am I feeling suckered into staying at this stupid hotel I don't want to stay at, I've been lied to. I pitched a fit. A bunch of the parents pitched a fit. They pacified us by saying the person was fired. Did they rehire him yesterday? I don't know. But here he is. I tried really hard to not let that taint my entire experience, and unfortunately, I let myself get worked up on some other things that weren't as big of a deal. Now, are they big deals? Absolutely. Were they legit things to get worked up over? Absolutely. We caught a parent cheating, blowing a whistle on the sidelines when their team was on a breakaway. We have it on video. It's it's not even worth getting into. It's ridiculous. It's 10 UB level hockey. It's pathetic that you would cheat for your kids. Simply pathetic. If you're one of those parents, I mean this offensively to you. It's pathetic. But I got myself worked up more than I really probably should have. And it's because I was focusing on the negatives, because I felt taken advantage of in that moment. And therefore, my attention went to finding all the negatives all weekend. It's not beneficial for anybody. That's not a good thing. I need to get better at meditating in those moments. I've gotten much better about calming myself down and all that, but it's the subconscious chatter. I got to do a much better job about when I feel myself getting worked up on something, taking a few minutes, taking a quick meditation. It really does calm the mind. It really does refocus, ground you, bring you back to what's important. Wish I had learned this stuff earlier. Wish it was better in my practices, but it's something I'm working on. So here's the recap. Focus on the now. Focus on the positives. Be grateful. Be gracious. Don't ignore the failures. Before I even recap, I had a conversation where I really feel like I seek approval from other people. I feel like my opinion about myself or my opinion about what I'm doing is heavily influenced by what other people feed back to me. I don't want to be that way. I want to be confident in what I'm doing and know that it's good and not really care what other people think. But not to the point where I don't care what other people think at all, because that's just not healthy. That's a super inflated ego. That's not beneficial to anybody. It's narcissism, right? But I want to care less about what other people think. I want to care more about what I think and how I feel, and not have that be colored by the reactions of other people. Not to the point that I'm ignoring them, that they don't think they exist or whatever. They don't care at all, but I don't want it to be such a focus. So stay present, be confident, be proud, look for the positives, celebrate the wins. It's been Birdseeds, Joe Bird. Thank you as always for listening. I hope you get something out of it, but if not, whatever, I'm still doing it. Take care.